Thank you for joining us today. This is Worth the Admission podcast. My name is B. Frank.
And I'm Travis.
I don't even know what to say after that now.
Well, you were supposed.
I don't really.
No, you were
I don't
supposed
like
to do the lead-in.
We talk about movies and things and stuff.
We talk
no,
about
if you're
things.
listening to us, you already know what we talk about. This is like episode 10.
Actually, did we make it to double digits finally? I know we had that long, 2-month break where. Well, technically,
this is episode like 15 or something that we've actually released.
It's a half special, half regular episode. So we're like platform 9 3/4. Like, we're not. Can't really be a full one.
Yeah, you just run at us really hard, and maybe you'll go somewhere.
If that were only the case, that's how you got. That's how you got ahead in life. You just ran into shit.
So what have you watched lately?
I've watched a lot of stuff.
Really?
There's been a lot of stuff on Netflix that I've been trying to get to. They've really inundated us with a lot of movies in the last couple weeks. I mean, I got backed up roughly right where Highwaymen came out, so I finally caught up on that. I got to see the Brie Larson movie, Unicorn Store. I saw that as well, too.
Yeah, that was good.
And I watched, my wife and I had a movie night the other night, and we watched The Perfect Date. Coincidentally enough for it. And I will talk about that.
That teeny bopper movie?
Yeah, hey, you know what? She liked it. I liked it. It was a better story than I thought. We'll get into it. Yeah. What have you been up to, sir?
I've kind of caught up on some movies too. I went to go see Us, which was really good. I went to go see that on my birthday. I treated myself to that.
I know, happy belated birthday.
But
I texted you and I tried. I actually made contact with you on your actual birthday. But Us looked very good. I was very intrigued on how it turned out. I mean, there was a lot of buzz behind it, but it dissipated so quick because we have so many movies coming out in such a short amount of time that it faded out really quick. It was really
good. It was reminiscent of Get Out in that it was very well-placed humor, but also scary. It was a very psychological thriller. I know a lot of people are saying it's not a horror movie. It's still a horror movie. It's just not slasher. But very intelligently written.
Horror. It doesn't matter if it's made up in your mind or if you have to visually see it. If it scares you, it's horror.
The end was really good. I thought I had the movie figured out like 25 minutes in. I was like, oh yeah, no. I was partially right, but very wrong otherwise. Because it took like a sharp left turn and I was like, oh, wow, okay. And so I really want to see it again just so that I can pick out the little things now that I know the whole story. But I really liked it.
That's one we may have to sit down and watch together.
Yeah. I also watched Bumblebee at work. That was surprisingly better than I thought it would be.
I really enjoyed it. I won't lie. I saw it a while back, and I thought it was a fresh take. We got so stuck in the way Transformers movies were, and this kind of took it back to its very first step, and I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought the new animation style was really good. I noticed it right away, but it looked better. There was more detail to it, even though there was less, detail that we saw. I don't know. But it looked better overall. And I know that it's serving as the first movie in the Transformers reboot.
It's a good step to start on. It really is. Yeah. I'm excited, but it drew me in. It made me excited. I just hope they don't do what they did to me last time and progressively make the movies worse.
Well, it wasn't directed by Michael Bay. So, there's that. It was Travis Knight. So, hopefully he continues with some more Transformers. I watched The Silence. Came out the other day. It's a movie on Netflix. It's like somebody watched Bird Box and said, I can make this better. And did, but not by much.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count. Hey, guess what? You made a crappy movie. You made another movie that's just still crappy, just slightly less crappy.
One, you see what's killing people, so that's cool. You still have to be quiet. They're attracted to sound. The story wasn't bad. It just I've seen it before.
I saw it.
It wasn't anything new.
I saw it on the queue, and I watched the trailer, and it doesn't look bad, but I really hated Bird Box so bad, and I will not get burned by another Netflix movie. This looked like one. No, this was a bait movie where you're like, oh, I recognize those people, and then you watch the movie like you did, and you were sorely disappointed. I don't want to waste my time.
Here's the thing, though.
Okay.
I I saw it on there, watched the trailer, said no, ran out of things to watch. Was like, all right, I guess. And like it wasn't a waste of time because I was getting paid for it at least, but it's probably not one that I'd just sit down and watch for fun.
So what you're saying is you had to be paid to watch that movie.
I guess so. I watched Unicorn Store as well. I thought that was
Charming.
very
Charming.
Charming. I think that's a perfect word for it.
I thought it was a perfect representation and the way she brought it of growing up. And it's a really weird concept, and you have to go along with it. I mean, you could tell early in that what, she was doing all of these things to become a better person. It's a traditional movie. You've seen the story before. But it's nice to see a movie like that kind of get second legs where I was interested in seeing it. I guess more now because she was, she's Captain Marvel. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I still thought that was a good... I thought she is a good film. I think she's a good filmmaker. I think this is a good way to kind of show some talent.
After watching Room, I would watch her in just about anything. And then reading up on what she did to prepare for Room. I mean, it helps that she's Captain Marvel, obviously, but I watched Room and was very saddened, but it was also just very good.
Let's get into well, I want to talk to you about Highwaymen because that's one of the big ones where you saw it first, and it took me about another week to see it after you. They are so good at what they do, Woody Harrelson, and they make the movie. They still made it enjoyable to me, and it had weird pacing, and then because it kind of started off slow, and then it picked up, and then it kind of slowed down, and it just never.
I thought it could have been a little shorter.
It could have been a little shorter. What was it? Over 2 hours? Like 2 hours and 12 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
something right around there. It could have been an hour 45, an hour 50, and I would have enjoyed it. I liked how the process of them getting closer and closer. I liked that angle that they took. In terms of now they're 25 miles away. Now they're 10 miles, 5 miles. They're around the corner. That part where they see them in the alley and they can't get to them because the mob of people, because at that time people had glorified them for what they were doing, doing the bank robberies. So, they were heroes. They were folklore. And when you saw them, I thought that was a cool scene where they couldn't get through and they got out eventually.
People were like touching the bodies and shit. I was like, they did.
With this movie, I thought it was a really cool take on how it wasn't about them for once, and you didn't really see them, and you didn't really get to see their face a whole lot. It wasn't really solely focused on them. And
you didn't really see their face at all. Like, you saw one shot of their face right before
they got lit up. You mean with
lit up?
I love that scene.
I was like,
the way
wow, you can shoot bullets for that long and not feel bad about mutilating the bodies?
No, they
thought it was a little bit of overkill.
But I really enjoyed it. That's one where your parents can watch it, you can watch it. I think it has great acting. Even the actions, it's hit or miss with what they do, because obviously the time and the period that they are trying to depict isn't crazy. But I really like the story. I thought that was one where I would like to see more of that caliber movie made.
I want to talk to you about the reason that we're both here. Which is Game of Thrones.
Do we cue the music now? Just everybody, just do it in your head.
No, I think that's a copyright issue.
It probably is, but still, just think it in your head. Just just
Game of Thrones season 8, the final season premiere.
All right, sir. I'm gonna let you take the reins on this. For me, I have seen every episode. I didn't get a chance to rewatch anything. Yes, I know we had so much time between season 7 and season 7 started season 8. You, sir, have caught up on them. I have done the best I can. So I want you to take this because even from a fresh mindset as mine, I really enjoyed the episode. And I still know everything that's going on. So to me, I still wasn't that lost. But, sir, this is your love child, which can be taken many ways in Game of Thrones. So by all means, sir, go ahead.
So first of all, I know a lot of people were really wanting a bunch of action, and we didn't get any. It was story, but it moved everybody's story forward. And I thought, for being a premiere, I thought it was a great episode. Especially with how it progressed. Like, it progressed really well. And there was a moment there at the end where I kind of just had an epiphany, which I'm excited to talk about. But the episode started off with a procession into Winterfell. which the whole time the kid running to the tree, seeing the army, watching the king and queen come through the gates with the Starks surrounding and up high, it was very reminiscent of the very first episode, the pilot. And 2.5 minutes in, I was like, this is cool. Because you're basically 10 years later, give or take, in story time. And so, especially Jon seeing Bran and Arya, again, he thought they were dead. So there were a bunch of reunions, and I'm kind of excited to touch on it. The thing is, too, is the battle for Winterfell is going to happen in like the third episode. And so there are still 3 other episodes where we don't know what's going to happen. My guess is that Winterfell is going to fall, and they'll have to retreat back to King's Landing, and then they'll deal with that. I've also got some other theories I'll get into, but it was nice to have it back, first of all, and it touched on every single person's storyline. We got the reunion with Yara and Theon, which I guess the very first guy on the boat that got shot in the head was from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know which character he is because I don't watch the show, but I watched the episode again today, and I was like, oh, all right, I see it. I understand why that storyline is there, because it's more about Theon and his journey than it is about Yara and the Iron Islands. He got the blessing from Yara to go back to Winterfell and fight with the Starks. Yep. I think he's going to die protecting Bran or Jon. I think protecting Bran is the poetic way to do it, but I mean, here's the other thing. This is also Game of Thrones. In 2 more episodes, the Night King could win, and he could wipe out Westeros, for all we know. So, obviously every theory is as thin as the next one.
No, there's more theories than this than there was with True Detective, because there are so many more moving pieces. I mean, this is the most I've seen out of any show. You have any house to root for, and you have many of them.
Speaking of doors and whatnot, did you watch the title sequence?
No.
Oh, you need to watch that as soon as we're done, because it's new, first of all, and as each season started and progressed, things changed in the title sequence. So like in season 7, you could see that the White Walkers and the snow were starting to take over. This one is a completely new title sequence, new animation style, and it's really cool. So you got to watch that when you get a chance.
I'll do that today.
Touching on every storyline, we got to see Cersei and Euron. Cersei finally let him into the cave. Cersei doesn't do anything Cersei doesn't want to do. And so I feel, especially after the conversation that they had in the throne room, which also got an upgrade, that she knew that she needed to kind of give it up for him to stay. Because he, as far as from a loyalty to the crown standpoint, he made a good case. He brought the Golden Company. He got the fleet. He's done all these things. And he just wants to be king, granted, but
Papa wants to get paid.
And she really was looking forward to those elephants.
Oh, I know she was. I really wanted those elephants.
I think that the Iron Bank kind of shortchanged her, and it's going to hurt her in the latter half. But it was nice to see her. She kind of upgraded her outfit too. She had some shoulder pads. And then
shoulder pads.
When Qyburn, her hand came over, it was like the White Walkers have broken through the wall. She's like, good. And so we also got to see Tyrion and Sansa. That was a very odd exchange.
It was. They made it awkward. It felt awkward, and I forget the line that the line that he says about the wedding. Last time it was a wedding, I forget what she says. It's a very smart ass.
Oh, he's like a horrible affair, and she's like, it had its upsides. Yeah, I think she was more cold to him because of Daenerys.
She was cold this entire episode, though.
And especially because when she said, I used to think you were the cleverest man in the world. And it is kind of true. Like, would you really believe that Cersei's bringing down her entire army to help out? Not really. At that point, kind of don't expect it and hope for the best. And that's kind of how, especially kind of being underneath Littlefinger for all those years and kind of learning his tricks, she's she knows how to work it. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she's gotten very good at it, and that's that entire family.
The Night King, we didn't actually get to see the Night King in this episode, but he left behind a message that was perhaps just as terrifying, if not more.
You gloss over my favorite line in this episode, which I think is the favorite line for a lot of people. And just to throw in a side note, I was walking the mall today, and someone had already had one of those t-shirt, make your own t-shirts. That was already up.
Oh my god!
That was already up on the little fake person, on the little the person.
Wait! He's got blue eyes.
I've always had blue eyes. It's just just so.
And then that moment of, oh my god, it's you.
Oh, so great.
Yeah, that was really good. That whole scene was really good. I'm glad Tormund and Baron are still alive. It seems like they're kind of the only ones with that group of night watchmen.
Yes, and they
totally thought that dude would be dead.
Oh yeah, but the most that was the scariest thing. That thing brings nightmares. So they case the castle. They don't find anybody. Obviously, we get our favorite line. And they happen to walk into a room. They see a wall with a gift, and they know it's from the Night King. It's a young boy who had been stabbed through the chest. As he's talking, the eyes open, and essentially what the message is, as he bursts into flame, or he comes to life, and
starts screaming.
Oh, it was deafening. It was annoying, and it was.
He was a dead. He was an undead at that point.
Yes.
And so he woke up, and then there was a spiral. The spirals that we have seen throughout the series showed up again with the boy at the center, and the spirals themselves made out of limbs.
Yes, I know we had seen that. Diving deeper, I had seen that on Twitter. That we have seen that mark a few different times within the series, which you're more versed on it. What does that mean?
The Children of the Forest. I haven't read the books. But I've been doing a lot of reading since the premiere. The Children of the Forest, who created the White Walkers, that was their sigil. That was kind of their item.
Okay, I gotcha.
And so we don't know yet why the Night King is using that. If that's some sort of clue, or if that's their house sigil that they've adopted or whatnot. I know when it was on flames, when Barrister lit it on fire, I know that it looked like the Targaryen symbol. And so that itself has had a lot of theories jump up. Which, again, we could go in theories all day.
I don't think there's enough hours in the days for you.
Now, I want to talk about the last quick reunion before we get into the big news of the episode. And that's Jaime and Bran.
Ooh.
Jaime finally gets to Winterfell. He's hooded the whole time. And he takes off his hood, and we see that it's Jaime. And he's looking around. You see everybody moving around frantically. And as he's looking, he just stops.
He locks eyes.
And he stares at Bran. And earlier, Bran had asked Sam had asked Bran about telling Jon. And he said, "I'm waiting for an old friend." And so when Jaime showed up, I was like, oh. Because Jaime, I don't know if Jaime even knows that Bran's alive.
No, it almost looked like he had seen a ghost.
And so I'm really excited to see their interaction, because I think that's the moment where he's going to say, I'm really sorry or whatnot, kind of give his apologies, and then Bran's going to give his speech from the trailer, which is, everything you've done has led you to where you are now. So, before we get into the final bit, the big news for the episode, I want to give kudos to HBO for their marketing, because they pulled a card out of the Avengers hat, because 90% of the footage that we saw in any of the trailers were all from this very first episode. And I noticed it the entire time. So we have no idea what to expect. Everything we've seen in the trailer, for the most part, has been in that first episode. So I'm really excited going forward.
Yeah, they didn't get hacked this time. They're not going to spoil anything by, having them get their episodes released. So I think we're doing good right now.
So the big news.
Yes.
Obviously, it kind of starts with...
Now, how hard did your
Daenerys.
jaw drop on the floor?
We'll get there, because that's kind of my epiphany moment. So Daenerys and Jorah go into, I'm guessing, the library or somewhere where Sam is sitting. He notices that it's them and kind of gets up, very funny and awkward. But during the exchange, finds out that Daenerys executed his father and brother. So he's now the last Tarly to his house. And so he excuses himself because he's obviously upset. And then he talks to Bran. Bran says, I'm not his brother anymore. He's going to trust you more. And then the next thing we see is Sam going down into the crypt where Jon is standing in front of Ned's statue. Which, the last time Jon and Ned spoke, Ned said, next time we see each other, I will tell you about your mother, I promise. And he happened to get the news in front of his father's statue. I thought that was really cool.
That was very poetic.
So Sam goes down, and he's like, he's kind of trying to feed Jon a little bit. He's trying to feed him into it, and he's like, did you know that she executed my family? And he's like, what are you talking about? He's like, would you have? He's like, I'm not a king. He's like, but you are. You have been. And he walks away, and he says, no, your mother is Lyanna Stark, and your real father is Rhaegar Targaryen. You are the rightful king, and you are the rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And Jon goes, that's treason. And that's the moment that I was like, oh. Because Sam then says it's the truth, and then it kind of ends there. But up until this moment, we kind of haven't taken into account that this still is Game of Thrones. Like, it is still a Game of Thrones. So up until this moment, we all thought that he'd be king, Daenerys would be queen, everything would be hunky-dory with him.
Now it's all flipped on its head.
Now it's all flipped on its head, and now we have a potential third player in this two-party game. We now have Cersei, Daenerys, and Jon. And I think one of the theories that I have is that Daenerys is going to do something. I think it would be really cool to see Sansa, like, say Jon is the rightful king, and Daenerys would try and execute her with Dragonfire. Jon takes her place and walks out of the flames, proving that he is Targaryen and that he is a rightful heir. I think that'd be really cool. Now I'm starting to think of all the ways that they can clash, because now they've introduced that, and I don't think that's going to go away.
You know, it's not like a True Detective where you can bounce around things. Like, that's something that's got to have to play. And the way they it seems like this season's going, they're going to build that momentum up. So they started you with the groundwork, and they're going to keep building you up every episode. So this isn't going away. This is just the first step.
Well, and prior to the episode starting, I was talking to my roommates, and I said, I think Jon will either find out in the first episode or the last episode. I was like, the first episode because they're like, we need to tell you. Last episode because things just would progress and they don't have a chance to tell him. And he finds out in the last episode, and he's like, oh, I guess I'm king then. But I'm really glad that they brought it into the first episode, because again, I had that moment of, shit, this is still Game of Thrones.
I loved it. That was beautiful. That was great.
I think I kind of went on a rant there.
You did.
I was just riding that hard. I'm excited to talk about it.
No, I actually watched the episode twice this week. I really got a chance. I wanted to sit down. I really wanted to educate myself more, and I wanted to be more familiar. So everything you talked about, I understand. Just I don't know as many names as you do. You can spit names and who they are and what house they're in, like nothing, and it's no joke like Greek to me. That's the way it is. It's like a foreign language. I mean, I understand it, but to be able to, regurgitate it back out, I can't do.
Yeah, that's honestly, you kind of get that with, I'm now at 10,000 hours of original content watched and tracked. For those that are curious, you kind of get that compartmentalization capability of, I could go from Game of Thrones to How I Met Your Mother to Scrubs to Daredevil, and I didn't realize that I'm watching each show.
I know,
but I'm also kind of crazy.
You are crazy. I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
No, that I think sums up the main points of the episode. Like I said, I thought it was a really good premiere. And it's crazy to think that there are only 5 episodes left.
I know. And this is the last short episode, too. So we get 4.
No, we got one more.
Yeah, no, this is our last one this week coming up.
Yeah.
Or for us, we've watched episode 1. This is the week after. We haven't yet hit episode 2 to be released yet. So This is the week 2 will be the last one. I think it's 58 minutes, and then from there on out, it's 82, 80, 78, 78. I think is what I've read.
Yeah, something like that.
We talked the other day. I had seen something that showed that they had added 22 minutes on from where the episode 3 originally started. It was originally only supposed to be 64, and they bumped it up to 82 minutes.
All accounts when they came out with times a couple months ago, it was the first 2 episodes were 60, the last 4 were 80.
Okay, that because it just looked weird to me, and I was like, I thought the same thing that would already have been confirmed by us that the last 4 were over an hour. I just wanted to make sure of that because I was a little perplexed. I was confused. So, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, WTAE Podcast. I've got nothing else to look forward to right now as for Streamwise, so the last minute's yours there, sir.
I might try and go see Hellboy. It hasn't been getting really good reviews. It looked good, but I think it should have come out in January. April's just too big of a month. I think Shazam overshadowed it, and then Avengers is going to overshadow everything else.
Oh, yes.
So I'll watch it at some point, whether it's in theaters or digitally.
One question though: do you think that how high do you think Avengers is going to go first weekend? Can it hit 3? Can it hit 275?
I think opening weekend, it could break 500 million. Worldwide.
Well, yeah. Oh, I think it could.
I'm
do
thinking
more than
5.
That. But I'm talking domestically.
Domestically, opening weekend, I think it crosses 250 and maybe crosses 300. But Infinity War grossed 675 over its total run, so 675 in its total domestic run.
Yeah, but let's talk here about this. I mean, for the pre-sale numbers that we've seen,
it's humongous.
Is blown away. I mean, it's there's nothing comparing. That's why I'm asking you, because of the hype that we've seen, and even the hype that I have of going to go see something opening weekend. For me, that's not traditionally what I do.
That's a big deal.
I like to see things when no one's in the theater and I can sit down and just enjoy a movie for what it is. I'm choosing to go see this with the people because I want to see it with the people. I think, like myself and you,
it's an experience.
No, we have I wouldn't say wasted. We have put so many hours in theorizing and watching these movies and doing what we do now. And this is the reason why we do the podcast partially, is because we love talking about these kind of movies and it sparks so many different things to do. I think that's why it deserves a $300 million opening. I think with like so many people, it's a part of us now. It's kids that were born are now 10 years old. In that run, it's amazing the amount of time we've covered and all the movies. And it's not just but all of us have not just seen the movie once. We've seen them 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times. Because
I'm in the middle of my rewatch. I'm halfway through Ant-Man. I've still got like 9 more movies.
Yeah, you're moving quick. But that's what I'm just saying is we've all put this much time and care. We care about these characters. I cried like a baby at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because I care about those characters. You know what I mean? Like, they presented it in a sad way, but like everybody else, we care about these characters because we've been around them. And when we get introduced to a new set of characters and we get a new shiny toy to play with, it's fun. It's more fun than we've ever had watching movies and being a community, because in itself alone, these Marvel movies are just a big community of people. So it's one of those where you want to see it with like-minded individuals. All right, and with that being said, I'm Travis.
And I'm B. Frank.
And this is Worth the Admission.
See you next week.